Analogue 3D released its newest version 1.5 update today, with one of the most exciting features to date, horizontal upscaling. Coupled with a progressive output setting that was cleaned up in version 1.4 to remove stuttering in certain games, and with overclock enabled, the latest version makes GoldenEye and many other games look and play better than has ever been possible on this new system. Let's take a look at the changes and what they look like for GoldenEye and a few other N64 classics. Now, prior to this update, resolution upscaling was only really limited to a handful of games. Newer titles such as Perfect Dark, Excitebike 64 had a setting that could be enabled directly from the game itself, but for other older games like GoldenEye, which happened years earlier, the only real way to upscale on the Analogue 3D would be through the use of a community high resolution patch, which wasn't really available for every game. Back when version 1.3 introduced progressive output, I tested the GoldenEye high resolution patch and the community patch for The World Is Not Enough. Now, while both patches made noticeable improvements in the image quality of the games, performance was a bit of an issue, with frame rates dropping for both games. Crosshair movements on GoldenEye also felt a lot more sensitive, and explosions were also an issue, which creating a stuttering and visual effect similar to what people reporting for other games like Resident Evil at the time. So with version 1.4 and now version 1.5, it looks like a lot of the issues with stuttering were resolved on the progressive output setting. And so the question now is there even really a need to use these high resolution patches with the newest horizontal upscaling feature that Analogue 3D has introduced? And so the moment we enabled this setting for GoldenEye, we can see right away that the detailing on the gun looks a lot better. Distance elements look a lot better as well, and just the detail that you can see in the faces of the character models up close. Now, while it looks nice, obviously a big question for me going into this was if it would impact performance the way that the high resolution patch did for GoldenEye back when I tested it in version 1.3. And after running through about half of the maps on 00 Agent, performance is really good with this. There weren't any maps where I noticed a significant change in performance. I would say most maps, with the exception of Streets, ran quite smoothly. And I mean, to be clear, Streets has just always been one of those maps where frames kind of chug along, and that's going to be the case even with horizontal upscaling disabled. And so I think where this feature really shines is in maps like Surface, Jungle, or Dam, or other maps where being able to see far out is a bit more important. I think it's a huge quality of life improvement. And it just makes the game look a lot nicer. I'm really happy with this. Now, I was curious to run this along with the high resolution patch for GoldenEye, and you can see in the preview play here that this has the potential to look really good. Now, if you do this, the problem, as I mentioned earlier, is that it is going to impact performance, unfortunately, and you're going to get lower frames, higher aim sensitivity. But if you're okay with that and you're just looking for the game to look the best possible way, then this would be it. So I think different games will benefit from this to a different extent. Here's a few comparisons to some other beloved Nintendo 64 classics with the upscale feature enabled and disabled. So overall, I think this is a great update. If you haven't done a few updates on the Analogue 3D for a while, I think this is definitely the one worth doing. Enabling it is pretty straightforward. Obviously, to get this up and running, you're going to need to install the latest 1.5 version of your Analogue 3D first. Once you do the reset, the option for horizontal upscaling will be available under System Settings, Advanced, and then the option to enable will be right below the setting to enable progressive output. You can toggle this on and off on the fly by using the in-game menu along with other settings. So all in all, quite a big update for Analogue 3D, coinciding with roughly 1 week to go until the launch of the M64 system. Hopefully we'll see Analogue 3D's updates continue to keep coming. If you have any questions or games where you think this update made a big difference, let me know in the comments.